Kevin Gonzalez.
Coming to the cage now, 21-year-old Kevin Gonzalez. The orthodox fighter stands 5 feet 9 inches tall. He has a camo record of 1 win and 2 losses. His most recent fight being a split decision win in December of 2012 against DeMar George. This is not his first time fighting in the U. The last time we saw him was in October of 2012. It was a unanimous decision loss to Eric Rios. But he's got to be happy to be back in that win column. He's here tonight with Team Danger MMA and Team Hanira Muay Thai, fighting out of Tarzana, California. You know, Kevin Gonzalez, he still is fighting at a very, very light weight here, 135 pounds, but we've seen him as he gets older, putting on more weight, getting a little stockier. He definitely looks thicker than the last time I saw him here at the U.
Well, he's young, you know, you're always growing, you know, you never know. That's a big growing area. You could, if you start your fighting career at 18, 19, by the time you're 21, 22, sometimes you're 1 or 2 weight classes higher.
Well, I never had a fight career, but I am definitely about 3 or 4 weight classes higher than I was at 21, 22.
Well, one day.
I made the mistake once of entering into a heavyweight jiu-jitsu tournament thinking, oh, I'm 220 pounds, it's 210 is the cutoff, sure. And then a 6'7", 270-pound guy with death tattooed, old English tap-out style from ear to ear, signs up in the same division.
Did you tap out before the match?
I watched him use no technique, but just pin someone to the mat and then wrench his arm as if it were a Kimura, but with no lock. And that's when I lost my next fight on purpose.
Oh, I was going to say you asked for a refund.
Opponent making his way to the cage, Thom Beast Landeros.
And his opponent now making his way to the cage, Thom Beast Landeros. The 19-year-old stands 5 feet 6 inches tall. He's an orthodox fighter with a camo record of no wins and 2 losses, fighting out of Whittier, California with Team U MMA. Not U of, just U MMA. Got a Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, and wrestling background. He has 2 losses, both in 2012. First back in June, a round 3 TKO to Sergio Castanon. And in October, a unanimous decision loss to Michael Witzerman. So again, both fighters with losing records, both fighters young men. Again, a very even matchup here put together by our matchmaker, Jay Tan. Beast does look like a beast, though, that he looks pumped up and ready, already energetic, already moving.
He's excited. Fighting is super exciting, especially at a venue like this, fighting in downtown LA right next to the Staples Center. That's a great way to prepare for if you want a pro career. You know, you get the jitters out, you get excited, you get your friends, your fans. It's nice.
This definitely does feel like the big time. That's something we do here at the U. We try to recreate that professional style feel, so these fighters do really get a top level bit of experience.
They really do, and that's really important because, you know, if you want to make money fighting, you know, you have to win and keep a winning record.
Our next fight of the evening is brought to you by OTM Fight Shops, scheduled for 3 2-minute rounds in the 135-pound division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a mixed martial artist. He comes to the cage with a record of 1 win and 2 losses. He stands at 5 feet 9 inches tall and weighing at 136.2 pounds, representing Tarzana Boxing and Team Danger from Canoga Park, California, Kevin Gonzalez. And his opponent across the cage, fighting out of the red corner, an all-around fighter. He brings a record of no wins and 2 losses to the cage. He stands at 5 feet 5 inches tall and weighing at 132.8 pounds, fighting with United Mixed Martial Arts from Whittier, California, Thom Beast Landero. Man in charge of the action, Mike Bell.
All right, in the blue corner, Kevin Gonzalez. In the red corner, Thom Beast Landeros. Heard some big cheers when Whittier was mentioned, the first time that's ever happened. No offense to Whittier. It's an easy joke.
I know exactly what you're talking about, though. No offense, Whittier.
You know, Whittier is not Upland. So far, Beast being quite beastly, doing his best to push Kevin Gonzalez around the cage.
Yeah, getting some good clinch work here. Wow, great knee up the middle.
You know, I can already see the big difference here for Kevin Gonzalez, that extra power he's put on. Last time I saw him in the cage, he's getting muscled around a lot.
Let's see if he pulls guard.
And look, now he has that guillotine under the neck. Can he get those hands cinched together?
That's a little inexperienced move right there. Let's see if he can recover and keep the guillotine. Can he? You can finish him right here. The way his legs are locked, you could actually finish a guy, especially trapping the arm the way he is.
It's tough to finish that guillotine from half guard. I actually went up against one of Hickson's white belts when I was a white belt, and he submitted me with a guillotine when I was on top in side control. So you can get that anywhere.
I thought you were going to say you were in mount.
No.
So, I was going to say, that's pretty bad.
That would have been even worse.
Like right from here, if he tapped him out, that would be amazing.
It's not impossible, but a good escape there for Thom Beast Landeros, and now he's in the mount position, ready to rain down some punishment on Kevin Gonzalez. Kevin, though, being really active on the bottom, moving those hips.
Yes, sometimes you got to give up your back and have the confidence in your jiu-jitsu that you're not going to get submitted. Because sometimes, you know, having someone choke you is a little better than getting punched in the face.
Kevin trying to overhook that left arm, control both the right arm, of Thom Beast Landeros. Trying to control the posture and the damage.
Good job of shrimping. Way to recover his position at the end of the round, but saves himself from some damage.
Deep breath.
Good round. You know, Landeros was getting caught in a guillotine, but it you know, he did a good job recovering, getting him some mount, and finishing the round strong with punches.
You know, you got to give it to Landeros there, ending up on top in the long run. You know, if you're going to go overall for the entire round, while Gonzalez did have that guillotine for a minute, Landeros did control more of the cage, control more of the positions.
He did. He was aggressive, and you know, when he got caught with a knee, he came back furious. You know, coming forward, pressuring. You know, I'd like to see him, you know, just continue the same thing, but stay out of the choke, stay out of the bad positions.
You know, though, very exciting to see young 21-year-old Kevin Gonzalez. The way that extra strength, that extra muscle is helping him out tonight.
Yeah, let's see if what his corner's going to tell him. You know, I would have tell him, you know, don't jump guard unless you know you can get your legs around the guys, because that affected his choke. Was he pulled guard without actually getting guard immediately. If you're going to get a guillotine and go for guard, you want to jump in and have the guard immediately so you put the guy in pressure.
Seemed a little overexcited there for that submission. Let's see what he does here in round number 2. Again, Thom Beast Landeros in the red, Kevin Gonzalez in the blue. A nice little Superman jab, low kick combination from Gonzalez.
Gonzalez had a nice little right hand that looked to do a decent amount of damage.
Now that's something we would not have seen from the younger, skinnier Kevin Gonzalez, really muscling Landeros down for that throw.
Looked good. Almost a nice little reversal just by turning over.
Well, you can see right now that Gonzalez is a little bit high, a little bit forward on that on that side control. He's really leaning across the body. What Landeros needs to do right now, though, is sneak his hips under Gonzalez there to get that leverage to lift him up and roll him with that same move.
Yeah, I would like that. You know, I think Gonzalez doing a good job of pressing the forearm against the throat. So right here, he gives up his back. You know, if I was Gonzalez, I'd look to, rain some strikes and keep control, because Landeros is going to try to get up. So you want to maintain your position, but also still pressure and land huge strikes. So right here, he's got to get hooks in. Before you approach the choke, you always want to get your hooks in, because it's really hard to finish a choke if you don't have the guy's lower half controlled.
Gonzalez here trying to control the neck.
At least put one leg around the guy's body, you know, because this can happen. Landeros can turn around and the position can change. Seems to be a pretty tight choke.
Gonzalez not squeezing too hard, though, being very patient. Looks like there's a cut over the left eye here of Kevin Gonzalez.
Now, this would be crazy if he could finish a choke from here.
Gonzalez doing everything he can
Got
now
a
to
short
finish these
time.
last seconds.
See, he did a good job of getting that. It's kind of like a Merkle position in wrestling by hooking your leg there. But he could have finished that fight if he put the hooks in earlier, because the choke never really changed. So I say we got 1-1, and we have ourselves a little bit of blood in that corner over there.
You might say again with that amateur scoring system, it could be Gonzalez is slightly ahead on the cards with a more dominant second round than Landeros had in that first round.
Yeah, the half-point scoring system. We might have a even fight, or I'd say we might have Gonzalez up by a half a point. That's how I'm calling this. A slight advantage.
Very possible.
Just based on the attempts at finishing the fight.
The corner here of Thom Landeros trying to it's not any really specific coaching right now. It's just emotional coaching. This is what we're here for. This is what we're here for, keeping him loose. Of course, the corner there of Kevin Gonzalez working on that cut over the left eye. And that could be interesting to see what happens with that. 2 minutes is a long enough time to open that cut up.
Oh, that's plenty of time.
I mean, 2 seconds is long enough to open up a cut.
But 2 minutes is also, if you're the guy with the cut, it's like, all right, 2 minutes, we'll worry about this later. You'd rather be the guy that, he's 21, so you may see him at a bar, and you say, hey, you fighter? You want to say you won the fight rather than lost.
Interesting to see also the very much improved head movement of Kevin Gonzalez. Yes, that eye doesn't show it too much, but you saw him in 2 cases so far in this round already moving that head around to avoid a couple of strikes.
See, right here, you get. I was gonna say, if he was gonna pull guard, you gotta keep that neck. You gotta get your legs around him. So
that seemed more like a dump truck than a guard pull.
A takedown like that can win the fight, especially with these 2-minute rounds. You gotta work to get back up. I used to coach high school wrestling, and it's a very similar type of thing. It's three two-minute rounds. You gotta work the whole time.
And there goes Gonzalez throwing up for that arm bar, but not controlling the arm. Now he has the arm there of Beast Landeros.
That looked very reminiscent of John Jones, Vitor Belfort right there.
And of course, we all know what happened to John Jones' arm in that fight. And we also know what happened to Vitor Belfort in that fight.
And he's locking up a possible triangle. This looks pretty tight, as long as he can cinch it. If he takes his left hand and cinches his right leg, it's pretty tight. There he goes, left hand, grabbing the foot, cinching it down. Now what he could do is, all he's got to do is really pull the head down and lift his hips up and squeeze his legs together. He's got 30 seconds. He's got to realize that in a short time he's got to try for the submission. You want to finish the fight. But the cage is Landeros' friend right now.
It is giving him some help here, but you got to wonder, that does look pretty tight. Can Gonzalez pull this thing off?
It's very tight. He's doing the same exact hand positioning that Joe Lozon used to finish Jamie Varner. Same type of finish. It's very, very tight. And there's the fight right there. That's tough. We might see a half-point win in this one. This is so tight because Landeros got a takedown, but Gonzalez had him in a triangle for most of the round.
It's interesting when a fight ends with a submission locked in, because you got to wonder, okay, if there was another 2 minutes, another 1 minute, another 30 seconds, what would have happened after that bell? How much do you take that into account when someone has someone in a position like that as the round ends? That's
another thing I'm curious about for these amateur fighters. You can come in here and be 6-0 as an amateur, but you're doing 2-minute fights. So you got to realize that the rounds are going to be a little longer. That stuff has a little more time to vegetate and a little more time to brew and get better. So like this, that triangle could have been on for another 2 minutes. That could really affect the fight. Another really unique element here at the U, you can see that we have a much smaller cage than that pro cage. I don't know our exact dimensions, but definitely not the same size when you're dealing with a UFC cage. This looks about like a 16er or 16 or 17er. But the great thing about these is the smaller cages, you less place to run to. You let these amateurs get in there and fight. They have to fight each other because there's less space for them to run to. At the same time, it does give a grappler more opportunities to shut off angles and to really get their hands on somebody. It does. It's definitely a grappler's advantage here because they can get. If you chase after someone, they're probably going to hit a cage eventually, and you could pin them up somewhere and possibly get your takedown.
So waiting our judge's decision here between Thom "Beast" Landeros and Kevin Gonzalez, a hard-fought back-and-forth fight. You know, first round seemed to be a little bit more in Landeros' world. Second round, though, a pretty strong advantage for Kevin Gonzalez, and that comes down to that third round. How do you score it? Do you score the takedown better? Do you score that near submission better?
I almost call that somewhat of an even round for me, but it's super tough. It's kind of like I said with the judges, it depends on what type of background they came from. Do they come from a striking background? Do they come from a wrestling background? Do they come from a jiu-jitsu background? Because that really plays a part. That plays a big part in who wins the fight. Who wins the fight?
You know, and if you call round 3 as an even fight, again with the half-point system, you might have a very slight decision in favor of Kevin Gonzalez.
Exactly, and you know, let's say we have 2 judges to my left. One's a jiu-jitsu guy, one's a wrestler guy. So in that round, there was a wrestling takedown, but there was some jiu-jitsu. So we might have a little discrepancy on what they score as a full point or half point. It's tough.
And you can see, you know, where's here taking some time. These judges are not just willy-nilly making a decision. They're really putting some serious thought into how to score those rounds.
Yeah, there's a whole science behind the whole scoring of these fights, and you know, you always, as a commission and as you know, an athletic commission, you want the guy that won the fight to get his hand raised, but it doesn't always happen, especially when you go to a judge's decision. That's why I stress to fighters, try to finish fights always. Don't coast to a decision because you may not get that decision.
You know, very interesting that we were last night was the UFC on Fuel 8, and you saw the Just Coast advice.
Just coast is not good advice.
You went to the third round, Just Coast. Well, Just Coast earned you a loss.
A split decision loss, or you gotta realize people are paying tons of money for this. You're lucky enough to be fighting in front of people, so push the pace. Try to win. This is a fight.
Here with our official call, Salvador Arellano.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of action, we go to the judges' scorecard. First judge scores a fight 29-28 for Landeros. Second judge scores a fight 30-27.5 for Gonzalez. Third and final judge scores a bout 29-29. This bout is declared a split draw.
Guys, come talk to me. Understandably disappointed. Yeah, what are your thoughts right now?
I don't know, like, I feel like I won the fight. But you know, it's you never leave it to the hands of the judges, so it is what it is, you know. I had fun. It was a good fight. It was a good learning experience for me. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Thanks for coming out and supporting the sport.
Give it up for him, and same question to you. I know it's disappointing, but what are your thoughts right now?
Yeah, hey, I gotta respect him. He brought it, you know. I definitely don't think he won, but you know what? I won't leave it to the judges next time. All right, there you go. I like that, dude.
Give it up for a nice show of sportsmanship and a wonderful fight.